Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I enjoy that song. You guys remember the last one I used to play? But I am so excited to be here tonight. Tonight, I'm talking about black men. That's right. I'm talking about black men. With all the statistics that we hear about incarceration, delinquency, absenteeism, what is going on, right? So every time we turn on the TV, it seems like we're finding out that someone was gunned down, someone was shot, someone was put in jail. And tonight, I have a special guest who is going to share with us some of his experiences, share his insights about why it's important for us to reclaim the black man. This episode is a must watch. If you are anyone who cares about the black community, cares about black men in general, you are in for a treat tonight. If you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to go take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level, and create the life you've always wanted. That's what we've been doing. That's what we're doing this year. Remember, 2023 is our year to do what we do. We're no longer allowing life to happen to us. We are taking charge of life and we are making things happen. If you're new to us, go ahead and put new in the comments so we can give you a hand clap and some music to welcome you as we grow this community. This community is designed for growth. That's what we're doing. We learn, we encourage, we empower, we connect with each other so that we can grow. And that's what we're doing. All the topics that we've been talking about, if you've not already done so, please make sure that you get back to our YouTube channel. And let me pull that up here really quickly. And you remember that we did a bunch of different videos going back. Well, we've been doing this now for about 2.5 years, it looks like. Yeah, actually 2.5 years. And so we've got about 300 videos that are out there. Everything from Diabetes 101, 23 videos that we did. We did the personal growth videos. Remember back in August, we did that. And then thyroid cancer, thyroid awareness. We've been doing that last month. And then, of course, this month is heart awareness. So heart awareness. Remember that there are so many issues that we run into, not just in the community at large, but definitely in the African American community. And we want to make sure that you are educated about that. I am repping, right, my school. Remember, this is also Black History Month. And I told you guys I was going to be wearing my shirt all the month, right? Every time I go live for our regular show, I was going to go ahead and put this on. So I'm repping that tonight. If you are from an HBCU, right, make sure that you are connecting with them. We need you, right? We need you to be involved in all that we do. Glad that you are out there. If you are there, please go ahead and let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Put a comment in the chat so that we'll know that you are there as we get into the conversation tonight. And finally, if you have a question, go ahead and put a Q in the comments so that we will know that you are there and that we can grab that question and pull it up. Okay. If you've not subscribed, go ahead and do that as well. Shout out. So this week, I want to shout out Linda Masco. These are all people that have interacted with us in all of our social media platforms, whether they shared a video, commented, asked a question. So we've got Linda Masco. We've got Janet from Animal Paradise. We've got Keely from Discord Coach. We've got Charles Matthews, Cynthia Timpson-Brame, one of our good friends, GWRS, Kevin Long, who's here in town with us. We've got Gina Glass, who's out in the West. We've got Mildred Sharon, one of our faithful members up in Dayton, Ohio. Delapo, thank you for coming through. And finally, a shout out for somebody here in town. As you know, we always do this when we get people in our community that do things for us. And so today I was helped by someone over at Parkway Scrubs. I went over there to get some stuff. So Tabitha and all the crew out there, Parkway Scrubs, thank you for helping us out. And we look forward to hanging out with you again. And then in the comment, I see Lewis. Hey, man, Lewis, thanks for coming through. Let's go ahead and give Lewis some hand claps. And thank you, Lewis, for being here, and we appreciate you stopping through. Well, okay, so that's all. That's all the stuff, right? That's all the housekeeping. So our guest tonight, my guest tonight, I've been looking forward to this, and he doesn't know that this was kind of a selfish interview because I wanted to get to know this guy a little bit, right? So he, I didn't know who he was. I saw him around, looked like a good fella, and I thought, hey, what better way to get to know somebody than to have him on the show? So he thinks he's just here to talk about some stuff, but we're just here to kick it and for me to get to know him a little bit. But he grew up as a PK, a pastor's kid, and we got all those jokes about pastor's kids, but that's what he grew up as, and he sang with the world-renowned Pine Forge Academy, but his life took a turn that he didn't anticipate, and now he is in the process of sharing the experiences that he's had and the wisdom that he's gained as he traversed all the things that happened with him. He has now been set up as the residency director, one of the residency directors here at Oakwood University. Sorry, I went to the college. He is a life coach of Winning Circle, an online community of men, where his goal is to help those guys succeed. He is a speaker. He's an author. He's a coach. He's a father. He's a husband. There's so many different things that we can say about him, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get this man up on the stage. Robert, I am so excited that you're here, man. Thank you for coming through.
What's going on, Dr. Wood with the E? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. So glad that you're here. Oh man. So you know, and as we were getting ready to go to the show, people, this man was still working. He was counseling, right? Up until the time when we get ready to go live, he is working. So I'm so impressed with that.
Yeah, man. If you see my eyes go up, I'm trying to tell people, hold on for a second, because they're gonna be knocking on the door soon. But it's all good, man. I love doing what I do, man. Thank you for this opportunity. I wouldn't miss it for anything in the world, man.
Awesome. But man, so how was your day? I mean, you said, it's Monday, right? Mondays are crazy, aren't they?
Man, Mondays are always crazy. Yeah, I mean, today was a pretty good day. I mean, the things that I have to do is just from everything as being a dean, it mail check, making sure the rooms are clean, making sure that everybody's still living and breathing and having all of their beings and all of the other stuff that we got to do. But I mean, it's a blessing, man. Like today was a day that that I woke up, and a lot of people didn't get a chance to do that. So I'm glad that I'm glad that I'm here, glad that I'm able to just provide the things that I can provide for everyone, man.
Awesome. Well, man, we're gonna tell a little bit about your story. We're gonna talk about you, what's going on with you. But why don't you give just a 30-second brief? Who's Robert Mann? Tell the folks who are out there who you are.
Well, other than what you said, like I'm a husband, I'm a dean, I'm a coach, I'm this, I'm that. Like I'm just a regular guy who has done a lot in life that I'm glad and I'm thankful that I'm able to be able to just share with other people and just give them tools on how to just navigate through life. But as far as I was born in Chicago, raised in Memphis, like you said, I'm a PK. My dad's a pastor, a retired pastor here in the area. And I moved around, went to Pine Forge. I didn't want to move no more. So I told him, like, send me to Pine Forge so that I don't have to move at least for another 3 years. And then the next thing I know, I was right back here in Huntsville and just did a whole lot, man. Marine Corps, I've served the country. And I've also just been on the other side of the fence where, like, I just thought that the dope life and the street life was a whole lot better than what, going to school and everything else had to provide. But I am here. I'm a regular guy. I just want to just make sure that all men, not just men, but just men in general, we just succeed and we just grow in the things that we need to have for life, the things that matter in life.
Oh man, love that. I love that. That because that what you just described encompasses so much of what you do now. So let's go back. Growing up as a PK, right? And what was that like? Because us, the folks who aren't PKs, we don't really understand, do we?
No, you don't. But it's the regular thing, man. It's just I just put it this way, it's expectations. Because my father was a pastor, then I was expected to know the Bible. Like, you know, if we'd be in Sabbath school and we'd be in church, and they'd sit there and be like, somebody read Matthew 13, and then they look at me and be like, hey Bob, I know you know it already. And I'm like, dude, I am just trying to grow up like the rest of us kids. Like I wasn't into that. But it's just the expectations, and then also just seeing the difference in how certain people treated my father and treated pastors was really hard for me, because as a kid, like my example of who Christ was without having a personal relationship with Christ was the children of Christ, the body of Christ. And sometimes the body of Christ can be really rude and really evil. So growing up and having that as an example, I really didn't want to be a part of that God. I didn't want to have anything to do with that God, because I was just like, how can he be nice and how can he be kind when his examples are showing me that that's not the truth. So that's what in a nutshell, that's what growing up as a PK was. I mean, we stayed on the road. My dad at one time had 7 churches. So every day of the week I was in church. And if I wasn't in church, my dad was there. So, you know, it took him away from the house a lot. But for the most part, like being a PK was kind of hard, but it was great. I'm glad looking back on it is a good thing.
Right. Wow. So the expectations, you know, I think looking in, we may envision what that's like, but really there's a lot of pressure, even for, you know, I've got a 13-year-old who's growing up, right? And even our expectations of him are huge. And to have the additional expectations, not only from mom and dad, but now you got the whole church. You got, actually you got the whole conference, dude.
Right. Right.
So wherever you show up, you're right. You're like, okay, Robert, you do mission story, do Sabbath school, you know, preach, collect offering. It's just on and on and on.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what it was. It was, oh, we need somebody to do something for church. Oh, never mind. The pastor's sons are here, or the pastor's son is here, so he got it. He's gonna take care of it. And it just gave me, you know, like, and then growing up, I just wanted to do things that regular kids do. I wanted to go to football games. I wanted to go to basketball games. I wanted to just go hang out. And, you know, and it was kind of rough at times, because even in the city that we lived in, like my father was well known in the city. So even if I go out to the hood to hang out at the street corner to hang out and just kick it, then they were, you know, it was people in the city, in the community was like, hey, Pastor Mann's son, you ain't even supposed to be out here. Like, what's your daddy gonna think? And it was like, man, I just want to go have fun and be a kid, you know. But it was rough.
So, what did Robert want to be and do when you grew up?
Man, from the age of 3, before I could spell it, I told everybody that I was going to be a psychiatrist. From the age of 3. Some kids want to be firefighters. Some kids want to be police. Like, if you ask my mama right now, she'll tell you from the age of 3 that so as long as I could talk from 2, I was saying I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And that's what I grew up wanting to be from age 3. And I didn't steer from that. I tried not to, but you know, life led me in different directions, but it just brought me back full circle to be a coach, you know, counselor, you know, just making sure that I can get back in school to get my master's and my license for psychology. But I mean, even life coaching, like all of that is just the helping people was the thing that I wanted to do from age of 3.
Wow. That's incredible. And, you know, not a lot of people end up in a space where what they wanted to do when they were, you know, that young is what they're doing. I mean, you know, and not as a bad thing. They change over time. But you, and we'll talk a little bit more here in a minute, you've been, I guess, kind of preparing the whole time for what position you're in right now. So all right. So you wanted to be in helping, in the helping profession. Where did you end up? Talk to us a little bit about that. So I talked about you being at Pine Forge, right? So PK, you know, growing up, you knew a little bit of what you wanted to do. You ended up at Pine Forge, you're singing, right? I guess you're doing the PK thing. Tell us a little bit about that experience at Pine Forge and in that space.
So the space in Pine Forge was, I mean, if people don't know what Pine or where Pine Forge is one of the five standing um, boarding schools, or predominantly black boarding schools that are in America. This is one of the only ones that in our denomination. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in the hills. Like it's amazing. But just going up there, like I mean, everybody around it was greatness. I mean, you had people now that we know are great pastors, great leaders in the community, and we were all just there. And it was a boarding school, so it was basically me going to college at the age of 14, and we stayed in this boarding. We stayed in the dorm. We went on choir trips on a bus. We ate in the cafeteria. We had to wear a uniform, and it was just it was a place where like the community that was reared or brought into that area was we still best friends. Like my friends that from Pine Forge some odd years ago. I don't want to say how many, but some odd years ago, we still talk on a weekly basis. We still communicate. Like if we get a chance to see each other when we travel, like we're making sure that if I'm in that area, you know, we're hanging out and we're kicking it. We're a family, and it was just amazing where you know where we could just be together and just bond as a family, as a community, and that's where it was. And it didn't turn like even there. Like I was still trying to do the PK Christian thing, and then after I graduated from there and came back down to Huntsville, like it was just I don't know if I was burnt out or if it was just it hit me as a reality that it was to me at the reality at that time. I was like, man, I don't want to go to school no more, and I started looking for things to do, and of course, street life just came full circle. Like it was right there in my face. We had fun. We did things that we weren't supposed to do. You know, we got caught. We everything that you can think of. So you know, it's just we just that, and that's where the turn happened. And after that turn, it was just um, I had a friend that was a Marine Corps recruiter that he came and he got me out of jail, and he was like, "Yo, I can help you out if that's what you want to do." And he's like, 4 years, sign up 4 years for the Marine Corps, or you can face the rest of your time. And I was like, man, 4 years and I can see the light of day every day. Where's the pen? So I signed up to be in the Marine Corps, and that's where I grew up. I thought, and then as soon as the Marine Corps was over with, street life just started happening, and everything just came back to just being what I thought I wanted until a good day in Chattanooga where I had a pistol pointed to my head, and the next thing I know, I was like answering the question on where me and God having conversations like, God, this is not where I want to end up. And so you know, he brought me back to Huntsville and told me that everything that I had gone through in life, from drugs to alcohol to girls to women to everything, like they people needed to hear your story, and I needed to talk to men about what was going on so that I could get them prepared or get them ready for what was happening in life for all of us.
Mm. So you talked about being burnt out, or thinking maybe that's what was going on. Was there a thing that happened, or was it just to kind of drift in that direction?
But I think well, you know, like I said, growing up as a PK and seeing, I tell people that I didn't have a relationship with God for myself. So the God that I knew was my father's God, and I didn't really like the fact that the people of the church were just treating him any kind of way. Like I mean, I've seen my dad give up, you know, like basically give up us, not that he left the house, but just give up us and give up the time that he could have spent with his family so that he can make sure that he spent it for the church, doing the things that God asked him to do. And people were just didn't care. They talked about him, and because of I was his son, then you know their kids they forced their kids not to hang out with me and stuff like that. And I kind of just got tired of it. And I was like, this is not what I thought, or this is not what I anticipated or expected God to be. And so of course, if there's not any direction or steering in any direction, then what looks good is what we're gonna run to. And I ran to what I thought looked good at the time, and that was the streets, and that was not doing what I was supposed to do. And even in the Marine Corps, I was like, I don't even want to be in America. Like, send me to Okinawa, Japan. I get me as far away as possible as I can, so that I don't have to deal with what I've seen, what I had to grow up with. So I ran and ran and ran and till I couldn't run no more, ran slap back into who I needed, and that was God.
Wow. So this recruiter that came to you, was that someone you knew, or how did they find out about you? How did that, tell us that story?
So, well, I mean, I was a dope. So I sold weed and stuff like that, and so he just so happened to be for some other people picking up something for some other people. And when he came to look for me, they was like, "Yo, man, like, man not here no more." So he's like, "Where is he at?" And he was like, "Man, they got him. They like got him downtown." So he just so happened to come down and was like, like, "Hey, I came looking for you. They told me you were down here." And so, I mean, we kind of knew each other from the life that I was living. But I mean, like, I didn't know him until like right now. Me and him are pretty good friends. Like, he's retired out of the military, and he never lied to me. He told me exactly what I was going to be facing, and so I respected him for that.
Man, wow. So, all right. Well, first, before we go on, so I see Florence. Florence, hey, thanks for coming through. She says, "Good evening, Dr. Wood and Director Mann." Florence, thanks for being here. Really appreciate that. Florence is one of our regulars. So, hey. So yeah, so this recruiter comes. He said, "Hey, you're facing time. You can do that, or you could come into the military." And you said you were doing dope. You were selling. You were. Describe that life. What was that? What's going through your mind as you're going through this? Because you left Pine Forge. You're back in Huntsville. The Mecca, right? And so what's going through your head as you're doing this?
Man, at the time, it really wasn't anything going through my mind. It was just a matter of like, I felt and I thought that was the life that I was going to live. And like I said, money looks real good when you're getting it every day. But the downside of that is I'm looking over my back, looking over my shoulder, getting doors kicked in. I got police, looking at me on the street corner. We got all of that going on. But at the time, of course, we sometimes think that we're invincible. So I just at the time thought that I was just in an invincible body where nothing was going to happen to me. So I lived as though I was invincible. And the funny thing is, like, I would go to church. I was singing the choir, and then as soon as church and choir was over with, man, I was right back to doing what we were doing in the streets and just hanging out. And it was just, I thought, well, as long as I can keep close, then nothing will happen. But man, that life is nothing to be amused of. Like, it's always you're looking over your shoulder. It's always you're checking the door. It's always you're checking to see who's looking for you. It's always trying to find out if the cops riding down the street or taking pictures of you or slowing down at your house. Like that, it wasn't fun. But at the time, I really didn't care about fun because it was all about just doing rebellion and getting money.
Wow. And so you're in the military. You do your time in the military, right? Looking back now, what do you think you learned in the military? You said that you grew up, but what did you learn in the military that you think? Because when you came out, you still went back to the streets, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
what?
I went back, not full swing to the street, but yeah.
Right. So what do you
But
think? What do you
what I
think you
learned
learned in the
simply was
military that
just
you're
money.
using now, for example?
It was more about honor and respect, man. Like that's what I really learned in the military was just the fact that um, just seeing that you can be on top of the world and seeing what can happen if in just a matter in a twinkling of an eye. Like, I mean, looking at 9/11 and watching it happen, being on an airplane to California, you know what I'm saying, and some of the people that were on the airplane that I was on that was supposed to be on the airplane with me getting pulled off. This is before 9/11 happened. This is before all the baggage checks and all this other stuff. And then like my mom is calling me trying to figure out if I'm okay, because the people that got pulled off of the plane was screaming different things in Arabic. It's just to see those things, and just the respect factor of what can happen in the twinkling of an eye. Like, life is not guaranteed to anybody, and to see death, and to see just to hear and to see death the way that I've seen it, it gives you a respect of person. It gives you a respect that, like, we're here for a certain reason, and we need to work into that purpose until the day that we die. Because if not, then what are we really here for?
Wow. So that word purpose, I like that. We're going to come back to that word here in a minute. So some event happened, right? So Robert Mann today is a different man. And I've read all the stuff, right? So all the things are going on. I see you around. I hear you talking. I even as you were counseling this young man that I couldn't hear and see what you guys were talking about, I'm like, look at this dude. I mean, he is pouring into these guys, right? So what happened to cause that?
So, living in Chattanooga, you know what I'm saying? Like, my dad, I vividly remember it. Like, my dad called me one day, and praise God for a praying father. Like, everybody talks about a praying mama. My mama prayed too, but my daddy was a praying father. So I'm thankful for him. But he called me one day, and he was like, man, God told me to tell you that you need to go back to Huntsville. And I was like, nah, I'm not going back to Huntsville. Like, no way. It was, back in the day, as soon as you can escape Huntsville, you weren't coming back. So I was like, yeah, okay, Dad, whatever. And then, kept on doing what I was doing. And I was working at a company I was working at Rent a Center. And one Saturday morning, got a phone call that, like, to come pick up a TV. So me and my guy jumped in the truck. We went to go pick up a TV, and we pulled up at this guy's house, and we saw him running out to the truck. And so, of course, like, if anybody knows Rent a Center, it's one thing to get a phone call about coming to pick up a TV. Then it's another thing to see people not, avoiding you like the plague, where it's like, you got to knock on the door and bang on the door for 13 minutes before somebody comes. So this dude is running out, and then we're laughing in the truck. Me and my guy worked for me. We're laughing in the truck. And then all of a sudden we see another dude run out, and we're laughing. We're like, dog, both of them are coming out. Like, that's what's up. And then we start seeing different things that happen. The guy that was running in front, his eyes were big. He was running, like, we could tell that he was running for his life. And we looked behind him, and the dude that was behind him pulled out a gun and just blew his brains out right on my truck. And in that minute, he pulled up the gun and he pointed it directly at me, and he pulled the trigger twice, and it didn't go off. So immediately, like, if any police are listening, I'm sorry, but I got up out of there. I told, like, y'all gonna have to come see me at the store. Like, I'm not staying around to see what happens next. Got there, and I was tripping out, and after everything calmed down, I'm outside walking, and then, like, I immediately hear a voice in my head say, like, are you ready to listen to me now? And I like, God, like, so what's going on? Like, what's up? Like, you got my attention now. He's like, that's when he was like, I need you to go back to Huntsville, and the things that I put in you, the things that I've let you go through, were not for you. They're to help others that are about to go through those things. And I was like, all right, God, like, so if you want me to go back, like, I'm retail, I'm Rent a Center. Like, my biggest days are Saturdays. So I was like, if you want me to go back, you got to give me a job where I can work and make enough money so that I can, because I'm making good money on Saturday. Like, you got to provide something for me. And if you want me to go back to work, worship you, then Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 is what I need. So I, went back to work, didn't think nothing of it. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from a company here in Huntsville, and they were like, we want to come interview. We want you to come interview. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I come and interview. They were impressed with what I could do and what we were talking about. And then they were like, we want to offer you the job. And the job is Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4. And then once again, I heard God say, remember what you told me? And so I was like, all right, you got me. And I was like, but I'm not going back, and I ain't being no preacher. Like, I lived that life. I'm not doing no preaching. I'm not doing that. Like, so if you got to show me what you want. He was like, he directed me to a church, and immediately fell into men's ministry. And we just started hanging out and started dealing with men's ministry and dealing with men's issues. And from there, I just opened up to the point where I came up on Oakwood's campus. I've been at A&M's campus. Like you said, I've started doing some speaking engagements around, or did speaking engagements around. And it was simply for men's groups. Like, that's all that I would open up to. Men wanted me to come talk about different things. I developed seminars and sessions called the Man Cave. And we work through 24 tracks where, we talk about everything from core values to writing your father a letter, and just saying hello or thank you to a superhero, or the first superhero or villain that you experience in your life, and the true meaning of who the example of God is in you. And so we dive into those different aspects of life. We talk about everything, and I give it to them as real and as raw as possible, because we talk about everything, and I give it to them as real and as raw as possible, because if I don't, I know what the street can give you, and the street's going to give it to you real. The street's going to give it to you raw. And the church usually tries to sugarcoat stuff, and I get tired of being sugarcoated. Like, this is the time where we need to get people engaged, especially men need to come back to the realization of being priests of their own lives, priests of their own homes, priests of their communities. And what other way can we do that by just talking about it, or instead of just, I give them practical applications that they could use every day or throughout the week, so that they can just grow and become men. And we walk together. Like, we walk together. It's not that they have an issue and it's over there. We walk through those issues together, whatever it may look like, until we get to the end. And that's what we are. That's what I've come to love to do. And I get to do it every day as a dean of men, where, like you said, Saul, guys just come in here and knock on the door and like, hey, Dean, can I talk to you? And we sit in here for 30 minutes or an hour or however long, and we just talk and get to the point where, while they're here at school, we're going to walk them through, giving them practical tools that they can use through life as they go. I mean, I'm not trying to tell everybody to be just like me, but the things that I learned along the way, they can help anybody out. So that's what we are, man.
Wow. I love that. And everybody, we are talking to Robert Mann, and we're coming. We got his story, right? We got his story. We see where he is, right? We're coming down the road now. We're going to be talking about what he's doing now, and some of the things that we've got to do if we're going to reclaim our young men. But this is a great place for us to take a break and just do a shout out to everybody who's out there. Lewis and Florence, thank you for coming. I see we got a couple of thumbs up. So we always have those folks who are out there watching, but they don't comment. But we like you. We love you. We love you to be here. If you've not already done so, please make sure that you go ahead and hit us up on our social media platforms. You can, let me pop that up here real quick. And you can find us on all of the social media platforms, actually. Everything from LinkedIn to TikTok to Twitter. Just make sure that you get over there and talk to us. We are in the process of putting together our March Sugar Buster. So Sugar Buster with Dr. Dwayne Wood. If you are having trouble with weight, with controlling your blood sugars, if you're having trouble with diabetes, if you're having trouble with cholesterol, if you're having trouble with hypertension, so all of those things, or if you just really want to just feel better, you want to come and you want to make sure that you are part of our Sugar Buster program, go ahead, keep an eye out. It's going to open on the 1st of March. It's going to open on the 1st of March for you guys to be able to sign up and get in there. We're going to have a great time as we learn. So 14 days, right? Starting on the 15th. So we're signing up starting on the 1st. You got 2 weeks to get in there. And then on the 15th, we're going to go ahead and start doing that. If you are a diabetic, and you want to know more about diabetes, we have our playlist that's on the on the YouTube channel. Those are free videos. All the stuff on our on our YouTube channel, they're free. Get in there and begin learning. As you're going through, if you got questions, go ahead and pop a question in the DM. DM me. Let us know that you are that you have a question, and we will be happy to answer that for you. And then, of course, get over to our website, and you'll see our blog there. You'll see our podcast there. You'll see all the ways that you can you can connect with us. Myra, Myra said, "Oh, hey Myra, how you doing?" She says, "Sorry for not talking, but I'm more of a listener than a talker. But I did go to my primary doctor today and got a referral. Hopefully to you today." Hey Myra, hey, thank you. Let's go ahead and give Myra a hand clap and some. There you go. And I love that, Myra. So this community that we are building, we are educating, we're empowering, we're encouraging. And the fourth word I'm adding in there, we're connecting, right? Because the connection part is so important if we are going to be successful. And let's hop over right now and let's go ahead and do our one amazing question wheel. All right, so if you've been with us before, you recognize the wheel. If you've not, this is how it works. You'll see questions on the wheel. I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever question it lands on, I'm going to answer. If you would like your question to show up on the wheel and like to get a shout out, go ahead and send that question in. You'll see you see right under my name or right under my image there, my video, you'll see Dwayne Wood, MD. And on the medicine bottle, that's all the places that we are. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, and we even have a Twitch account, believe it or not. That's right. I'm over there. So you can hit us up on any of those social platforms. Send your question. We'll put it on the wheel and we will give you a shout out. So I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever question it lands on, I'm going to answer. And here's the rule. It has to be a concise answer. It has to be usable, practical. Can't be some theoretical thing. And I have to do it in 45 seconds. That's right, 45 seconds. That may be the most significant part of this, right? Because you guys know I like to talk. But let's go ahead and do that. Once I finish the question and we do it, I'm going to clip it out, and then I'm going to create a reel, a short, whatever they call it on the different platforms, and I'm going to post it out there. And what I want you to do is when you find it, I want you to go watch it, right? Find it, and I want you to put hashtag I was there, because you're seeing me create it right now. So let's go ahead and let's see what we're going to get today. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, I don't know. I don't know why I say that. I got to find a different thing to say. All right, let's see. What is a heart attack? What is a heart attack? That's actually a pretty good one. What is a heart attack? Let's see. Let me get my thoughts together. Okay. And then let's get 45 seconds on the clock. And here we go. What is a heart attack? A heart attack is where the vessels to the coronary, the heart, the coronary vessels are blocked. So a heart attack is where the coronary vessels are blocked, and they're blocked to the point where the heart can no longer get blood. When that happens, the heart begins to die, and people begin to feel the symptoms that we talk about when we talk about a heart attack. That is pressure on the chest, pain in the jaw. The left arm may be tingly or paining. They may have diaphoresis, which is sweating, nausea, vomiting, and the most common presentation of a heart attack is sometimes people will pass out, or we can have sudden cardiac death. All right. I don't know if I made that one, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. I'm going to have to do some editing for that one. But you guys saw it right here. So go ahead and make sure that you find it and put hashtag I was there. Well, we are so excited that we're talking with Robert Mann, who is residency director, dean of men over at Oakwood University. He's been sharing with us his story, and we're about to talk to him about what he is actually doing now, what he's pouring into the men that he has access to, and why it's so important that we reclaim our black men. So Robert, thank you once again for coming by and hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, man. Yo, you almost made the 45 seconds, man. I was sitting there. You had like 3 more seconds and you'd have made it, dog.
Yeah, I thought of something else at the end, and I was going to add it, and that So we'll edit it out. So, all right. So, well, man. So I am so impressed with your story, and the thing that gets me right now is that despite all the things that happen, I shouldn't say despite, but you are now doing things and using the things that happened. Right? So often when people get on this side of stuff, they kind of they sulk back, they pull away, they're embarrassed about the things that have happened in their lives because after all, they want to give this picture that everything was great, or they're ashamed of it or whatever. But you're out there and you're like, look, this is me. What gives you that ability or gives you that drive to be able to do that?
Well, once again, like I said, I begin to love God for who He is for me, and in the relationship that I have with Him, I just start listening to Him. I mean, and start listening to His promises and listening to the things that He was saying, and things that were given to us in the Bible. We are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by our testimony. Well, I got a lot of testimonies, and if that's the fact that God sent me back to work with men and to work with people, with the testimonies that I have. Like, well, one, he got my attention because I am not trying to, like Daddy told me to go talk. So I'm going to go talk and I'm going to go do what I need to do. And if that be that I share my testimony, that's one of the things that I was missing. Like, I mean, we always, just growing up in the church or growing up in a community, we always hear, oh, how I got over. But it's like, what did you get over? And then when I'm going through something, you want to tell me to come see you and talk to you about it. But how do I know that you even went through anything? Like you said, Dr. Woods, we give this personification of like coming to church and we're suited up and we got our favorite suit on and our nicest bow tie or our tie on and the shoes that we got on cost $500 and the jewelry and the watches that we wear and we dress ourselves up so much that how do we know what you really going through when we're all going through something and it's just a matter of if I'm not supposed to be by myself, then we all need to be there. And somebody just needs to know that they're not like, that's one of the major things is I'm not by myself. That helps out a lot of people go through issues because we just feel like we're by ourselves all the time. So if I can be the one that's in the boat with you or that you notice in the boat with you, then like, let's row together. We're all going to the same destination. Let's get there. And I shouldn't have to just allow myself to paddle myself or you paddle by yourself. Let's just work together. And how did I get there? Daddy told me to do it. And I'm not here to tell Daddy no any more than what I already have in my life. So that's
Wow,
just
obeying the Father.
Obeying Daddy, man, obeying the Father. He said do it, so let's go. And the thing is, when I have obeyed Him, I see that it's a blessing to do it for myself. Like I'm helping myself get over some of these issues by other people, talking to other people and working with other people because the things that I didn't know at the time or the things that I didn't know going through those things, like now we're starting to put those pieces together for them. And those are the same pieces that I need.
Wow. So we hear, and you heard me kind of do the intro as we came on, we hear about men in general, but we're talking about black men tonight. So we hear the statistics about black men, about how many of us are incarcerated, about how many of us are out of jobs, about how many of us have left our families. And you're in a position now where you're dealing with men who are just now in the prime of their life, who are just now coming into adulthood. What are some things that you think they need to learn as they're getting into this phase of their life?
Man, it's a lot. But some of the things that I talk to them about, like I said, in my man cave, in my series or whatever, I talk to them. The first thing that I talk to them about is core values. Like we go to a church that has values or beliefs. All of us have jobs that if you do something against the standard operating procedure, you can be let go. We're in a relationship where, what I'm saying, wifey or the boo is going to tell you, you better do this. Or you know, and we go to school. You know, these guys are in school, and the syllabus is set up that if they don't do this, then they will fail. But we work, we go to school, we are in relationship, we're in a community that has values. But what, as an African American male or a male in general or a person in general, what are your personal values? What do you stand for? That if somebody goes against your core values, you will automatically stop them from doing doing something to you. Um, Building up core values is like a foundation. It's if you have something that you stand for, then you won't fall for will fall for everything. I think the Malcolm X said that in one of his speeches, that if you stand for if you have something to stand for, you won't fall for anything, or something around that nature. So it's just like, why are we not doing that as a community? Why are we not teaching that? Why are we not giving our African American males the opportunity to stand for something? But then we tell them what to stand for, and those things that we tell them what to stand for are all negative. We tell them to stand for suck it up and bear it and deal with it, deal with your pain by yourself. We give them the core values that, literally in our community, there is no rites of passage. And then when I was looking it up, the rites of passage most African Americans run to is if we can go to jail before the rites of passage is going to jail before you turn 21. So if that's a core value, like, is that good? Like, I can't let these young men, I can't let my sons grow up and be like, hey man, word on the street is you need to go to jail before you're 21. And that's now you're a man if you can go to jail before 21. Or, go to jail with your brother or go to jail with your dad and y'all can spend that time. Like, that's so negative and that's terrible. So let's stand for some different things, core values, and then even giving them core values that gives them the opportunity to start thinking about what's good for them in their life. What do they want to do in their life? I want to be married by the age of 25 or 30. Okay, so how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? If that's a value of yours, if that's something that you do, like, what values are going to go on along with that? You have to start practicing being a good person right now. You have to start practicing relationships with each other right now. You're not going to be an expert if you don't understand or you practice core value or your relationships right now. If you don't have those, then what's to say that all the relationships in your past have been negative? Mama and daddy was messed up, and brother and girlfriend was messed up, or you saw this and you saw that, and you never had a relationship that looked right in your life. Then when you get to having a relationship, then you're just going to follow what you've seen, and those values are going to go into everybody else's values that they have for you. And I want to just stop that. It's that breaking that generational curse, even with wealth. Like we talk about investing and starting their own business, being entrepreneurs. I'm not telling them to quit school. What I'm telling them is, like, I'm tired of seeing them in financial aid lines begging for money and going up to the front of the church and crying because they didn't get cleared for school. What if we stop that? And what if we start giving them the tools that they can start doing financial investments, or they can have their own business and entrepreneurship, so that when their children get ready to go to school, if God is not here, then they're set up where they don't have to do those financial aid lines and fill out FAFSA and fill out loan forms and everything else like that. And then I think that's biblical. God tells us that we're supposed to be the lenders and not the borrowers. So what does that look like?
Wow, you said a bunch of stuff in there, man.
Like that.
I don't even know how to begin diving into some of that stuff. So there's one thing that you said was that you wanted for them to have core values, and you talked about them seeing, right, people doing different things. I'm gonna tell you. So as a black man, the very first black teacher I had was when I got to Oakwood College. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm talking elementary, junior high, high school. There was one guy, and shout out to you, Donald, who was around our block. And he took us fishing when I was a kid, and we had a couple of kids that he would take out, and I didn't get into as much trouble as I could have gotten into. I got into a fair amount. This is about Dr. Pastor. This is about Mr. Mann, so I'm not telling you my story. Right. But he did some stuff for us that I think if it hadn't been done, I don't know where I'd have been today. Right. So as you're talking to these young men, and as you're pouring into them, let's ask that question now as we get, into the rest of this conversation. Why is it important for us to reclaim the men? Why is it important for us to reclaim the black man?
Man, we're faced with so much in America, or in the world. I'm not just gonna say America. We're faced with so much as an African American community and a male. On top of that, like, why is it so important to reclaim? Because we are kings, and we are supposed to be the priest of homes. We're supposed to be the priest of our communities. We're supposed to be the priest of our own persons. And to reclaim that means that we're just getting back to where we're supposed to be. Like, it's God ordained to be that way. It's God ordained to be where we are, or would not be where we are, but be where we're supposed to be. And the media and everybody else is so anti-male, period, but anti-African American male. Like, if you look at the news, and I look at it from the perspective of a white guy can kill somebody, and they'll get on the news and say, yeah, in the news today we had a shooting down South Parkway, and that's all they say. But then let an African American, get in the news for murder. We got video, and his name was, he giving his full name, and then we always talking about how he is, and even if he was murdered, then we always victimize. We're always sitting there saying, well, he, because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was a drug dealer, and he was this, and he was that, and it's always given a negative connotation on what we are in America. That we got to work on ourselves to reclaim ourselves, because if not, we're just going to continue to get the core values that they give us, and that doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look good at all. So what's the importance of it? We gotta get back to where we are. No disrespect to anybody else, but all of us are designed to be kings. And why is it that we are acting as if we are not?
Wow. So getting back to where we should be, right, biblically. So now we're pouring into these young men. We're talking about values. There's stuff that we don't talk about that young men, black young men, have going on with them. When we were getting ready for this, I was talking to, I was telling you that I've got a young man in my house that's growing up. And there are times, man, when I look at him, when I see the stuff that's on the news, and it's all that I could do to not just lock him up in the house, and say, okay, you're not going out. You're going to stay in here. You're going to be safe. But being able to prepare them to be in the world, right? But I'm gonna use this term, and some people may not like it. Be street smart. Be wise. Because sometimes we coddle and we don't talk about stuff, right? We're like, oh, they don't need that. They don't need that kind of information. But that's why sometimes they get into trouble, because we sugarcoat things, and we don't step to them and say, look, this is what it's gonna be like.
Right.
So,
agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I agree with that. Like you said, we cuddle so much that when something happens, then it's like, even just being in this domain where I am, some of these guys are just blind to the fact that anything can happen to them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, even with like the murders and stuff that are going on around the community that we're in, I sit there and I pull them aside and say, listen, bro, like, this is not, you're not the exception to the rule. Like, just because you're here doesn't mean that things can't happen. Like, even with, like a few years ago, one of my mentees was murdered in the area, and it shook Huntsville. It shook Oakwood, because it was just like, oh my God, this happened to us. This is not supposed to happen to us. And I'm like, bro, like this is something that can happen on a date. Like everybody, family of African Americans that were murdered by either other African Americans, police, whoever, sat back at the end of the day and was like, this wasn't supposed to happen to me. So what makes us different? What makes us different as a community to say like this can't happen. This can literally happen. And then when it does hit home, then we're shook. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to deal with it, and we don't prepare anybody for anything that's going to happen. And I agree with you, man. 13 years old, like kids these days, I look at them and I'm like, man, like I wish that I could just put all of y'all in the area, like, but when we were growing up, we had the Y in the middle of the night, the midnight ball and stuff like that, where, they had people that come in so that they can get them off the street that keep them safe. And it's like we've gotten away from that as a community because everybody's worried about their own self right now.
Myra says, black male shooter each equals criminal. It's horrible how the media says it. Yeah. Yeah, Myra. Thank you for putting that up there. Because it is. It is. There is definitely a bias. I tell you, so when I was here at school, at Oakwood, some stuff happened around me with some folks that I was hanging out with, and every time I see a police car go by, I mean, as old as I am right now, man, there's this thing in my head, right, and it goes back, and it's hard. And some of the guys that you talk to, and some of the guys that are in the dorm, they come from some pretty hard places.
Mm-hmm.
How do you speak to that as we're talking about, okay, building up this young man who comes from a place where there's this memory of what may happen, what could have happened, what did happen? How do you begin to deal with that?
Man, I give them the opportunity to talk about where they come from, and then at the end of their conversation, well, in the middle of the conversation, I just kind of hit them with, "So, do you want to go back, or what's your plan? Like, let's sit down and talk about a plan." And most of these guys are like, Dean, I don't want to go back to that. Like, I lived that life, and I'm here because so that I can get away from it. So then I literally tell them sometimes to write it out on a sheet of paper and put it on their window that I don't want to go back. I'm not going back. Whatever it takes for me to get away from that, then I'm not going to go back. Because if it's a constant reminder in somebody, then they'll start believing it. Fake it till you make it. That's what some people say. But even with just talking to them, I just give them the opportunity to just tell their story. Like sometimes telling their story allows it to get off of their chest, where they can hear it for themselves what is going on around them. Prime example, real quick, I had a guy that was talking and he was like, man, Dean, like before I got here 3 weeks ago, like we was at a house and then we went upstairs and we were hanging out upstairs, and then I heard shooting downstairs. And when I went back downstairs, dude was laid out on the floor. And then I looked exactly where I was standing, and right there close to where my head would have been was a bullet hole. And he was like, Dean, like I was that close to not being here. And I was like, okay, so if that's the case, then why are we going to start moving around as if nothing will happen, or moving around as if like I can go back to that and be okay? Like that is a sign to me, which was a sign to me in person, that I don't need to go back to that area. I don't need to be there. So whatever it takes for me to do the opposite so that I don't go back there. My boys are still selling drugs 30 years later. I'm not trying to go back there. My boys are still at the house living with mama and them and all this other stuff. I'm not trying to go back there. So what do I need to do as an individual to get to a place where I'm never going to go there? And the easiest way out is to stay in. And the easiest way out of the hood, or the easiest way out of the situation to these guys, is stay in school. Like, get the education that you need. Better yourself. Be the first one in your family to graduate. Be the first one in your family to go to medical school, or be a doctor, or be a lawyer, or just be a business person. Like, that's the best way to get out of those situations sometimes. And then I literally get there and I knock on that door. Hey, bro, what you doing? Like, hey, man, I saw you last night. Like, man, it didn't look too good. Like what you were doing. Yeah, Dean, I was slipping a little bit. All right, let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. You got an end game. Let's make sure that we stay on track to the end game.
Wow, wow, man, there is so much. There's so much to this conversation, and we're just hitting like we haven't even delved into it yet. But I'm mindful that we go. You know, we're going to get out of here. One last thing. There's a young man that's watching. There's a mom. There's a dad. Somebody's watching right now, and they're thinking about this question: why is it important for us to reclaim? And they're wondering what they could do. Either young man, what he could do, or mom and dad, what they can do in this space. And you just talked about education. How can you address that person? What words of encouragement do you have for them?
Man, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Get and listen to what I say, because I don't want it to be said that I was cussing on your podcast. Get your shift together. Get your shift together. It's time to shift where you're coming from. If you're used to doing it a certain way and it seems to be not working, or you seem as though you see where you're going to end up because everybody around you ends up the same way, then it's time to shift. Get your shift together. Get your spiritual together. Get your health together. Get your integrity together. Get your finances together. And then get you a tribe of dudes that are around you that's moving in the same direction. I can't be a football player hanging out with the dope boy, because usually I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kick it. I'm gonna kick it on the streets. If my team is in the weight room working out at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm sitting there asleep because I stayed out too late at night, I'm not gonna do well on the football on the field. So get a team around you that's working in the same direction. And with the tribe and the team, and then spirituality is first, like always put God in it. But that's so cliche. It's just, if you see where you're going and you see the examples that are in front of you are not good, shift. And then be like Nike and just do it. Like let's get together. Like if you need somebody to walk you through the process, man, hit me up. Like we'll give you my stuff, my handles and stuff like that in a second. But hit me up and let's just talk. Let's just work this thing out together. Mom, if you see your son going in the same direction that you don't want to happen and he's not listening to you, it's not because he doesn't love you. It's just because your mom. Like he might need to hear it from somebody outside of the house. And that's okay. Don't down him because he's not just you don't listen to nothing that nobody says. Yeah, but mom, give him another option that he can talk to somebody. Go get some help. Get that tribe around. Like that's the biggest thing, man. Get you a community of people around you that's looking for you to succeed. And if you do that, if you keep going that direction, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you won't have some of those issues that I had, that Dr. Wood had, and that other people have had in their past. And even if you do, you have the tools and know how to work through those things. I'm never going to tell you that it's going to be easy. It's just a matter of, do we got the tools to work it or not? So let's get some tools and let's go. And then shift the whole process. Let's do it.
I love it, love it, love it. There you go. Yeah, you guys heard him. He said shift, right? He said shift. He said shift.
That's why I said it several times. So
I know. Oh, well, man, I'm so excited that you came through. And I'm going to say this from now. I hope you will allow me to get you back. And, we've talked about even doing some other things that I think is going to be good. This educating, empowering, encouraging, those 3 words that I use. And you heard me say, I'm adding that 4th word, community. And you just said that community is so important. Why don't you take a moment now and tell everybody, if they want to connect with you, how they can do that. Let's put this up right now.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm a simple dude. I'm on Facebook and I'm on IG. Robert Mann at Facebook. Pop the Panda 357 at Instagram. Like, don't ask me no questions about my name. Like, it's just one of them things that I deal with. Like, Pop the Panda 357 on IG. Robert Mann on Facebook. If you reach out to me, give me a direct message, then I can reach back out to you. We can correlate. We can talk. We can exchange numbers. We can do any which way you want to. And then, we can get on Zoom if you're out of the city, or if you're in the city. Trust me, man, I got a couch that you can come sit on, or I can come meet you wherever you are. And as long as these guys let me go, then we can just hang out and we can just talk and we can get to know each other, man.
All right, right. Love it, love it, love it. Once again, man, thank you so much. If you hang out for a minute, I'm going to close out, and then I'll be back and we can talk a little bit. Oh, wow. Wow. So thankful that Dean Mann was here to hang out with us and talk. And as you heard, I mean, we just scraped the surface of this conversation. There's so many more things that we can talk about. But if you are out there, mom, dad, if you, grandma, uncle, cousin, anybody, if you have a young man in your life, you want to make sure that you're positioning him for success. And positioning him for success means that there's some things that we're going to have to address that we may not even be comfortable about. There are some things that we're going to have to share from our experiences that we have not told them about. Let me pause right there, right? Because that's a big one. Because sometimes our young people, our young men, they think that they're the only ones. They can't imagine what we have done because we haven't shared it. And sometimes just sharing it allows them to know that they don't have to be supermen. They can be young men who are figuring it out. Like I tell you, some of us are still figuring it out, right? But yeah, just make sure that we're there, that we're engaging, and make sure that if you need somebody, hit up Dean Mann. You saw his handles there on Facebook and on Instagram. Okay. And this is a great place. Let's hop over and we're going to do our thought of the day. All right. And our thought of the day is this. I have something special to offer the world. Let me say it again. I have something special to offer the world. It doesn't matter where I came from. It doesn't matter what I've done. It doesn't even matter if I don't know what my gift is. I've got something special. You all have something special. Being special means that there is something within me that could make a positive difference in the world. My special attribute can come alive when I'm inspired by my passion, by my goals, inspired by those around me, the community that we just talked about. With hard work, dedication, my unique strengths can help bring about progress and solutions for many people, not just for me. Whether it's an idea, a product, something normal, a book that you have, a podcast that you want to do poetry, you want to do music, you want to play sports, whatever it is, you have a special gift. And I believe that everybody's talent is worth sharing. And you've not been given your talent just for you. You've been given your talent to make the world a better place. It would fill me with joy to know that my special talent is able to touch other people and to make their lives better. So right now, you may not know what it is, but you need somebody to help you figure that out. That's what we've been talking about tonight. Reclaiming, it is building up each of us, building up each of our young men. It is building up our community, because when our community is built, when our young men are reclaimed, then we get richness and power, and we can ascend to those places that God wants us to be. And that is our thought for today. All right. So we are back. And so once again, glad that you guys are here. If you've not done so, go ahead and make sure that you hop over to our website and look at the offerings that we have. If you've not subscribed, make sure you do that here on the channel. If you know someone who needs help subscribing, help them create a free account, hit the subscription button, and go ahead and hit the notification bell. Let me pop over to our website. Make sure that you get over there. We've got our free offering, our free book that you can sign up for, and that is the 7 Keys to Success. 7 Keys to Success. It's a free offering. Learn how successful people create the life they want. On our website, you can go to our blog, and we've got a growing list of content there. Everything from thyroid cancer, diabetes, general health, heart disease, weight, taking care of our children. And then, of course, make sure that you get over to listen to our podcast. I'm so excited. Come back next week as we get into the month of March. And remember, keep an eye out for our sign up for our next level. The Sugar Buster is what we're calling it. Sugar Buster with Dr. Dwayne Wood. It's going to be starting on the 15th of March, but you'll be able to sign up starting on the 1st. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, I encourage you, and I am connecting you so that you can begin taking charge of your health, taking charge of your life, create the life you've always wanted, and go to the next level. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week. I think I see a comment there. Hey, what's up, Mr. Riley? So I'm gonna steal your thing. I'm gonna just say West Side. No, I'm gonna say East Side. So whenever James shows up anywhere, that's what he says. West Side. But I'm gonna just change that up. Whenever I show up, I'm gonna start saying East Side. I'm gonna say Brooklyn in the house. Thanks for coming through, man. We appreciate that you took time to hang out with us. I've been seeing your stuff. If you guys have not been over to Riley's World, make sure you get over there. And he does some good stuff. He's heavy into football, so he's always posting stuff about football. He's always at a game somewhere. I want to hang out with you, man. That's where I need to be. Seeing all those games. But anyway, everybody, good night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.